Voice.
Okay. Okay. Seems like my voice is going through. It's transcribing. Okay. So today what we're gonna do is we are going to try to make a sectional perspective. Okay. So let me show you what I have in mind. I'm so sorry for being late today. So this is what I have in mind. Okay, it's a very messy sketch. It was done very hastily, but the idea is we're going to make the road that we have in front of the department one way and use the space for the other lane for some green infrastructure. I don't know why it's that low res. It was not supposed to be, but anyway, these would be our Bio Swales and GIs. We will also use some root barriers to get some kind of medium to large trees and maybe change some of these windows into accessible doors to have better accessibility. So this is what I was planning to do, but if anyone has any other interesting things going on, I could try to do that too. So like, do you have any design that I could pursue for sectional perspectives? No? All right, let's start with this and then build on this. All right. So by now, you might have the 3D model that I have shared. I have two questions for all of you. Which software would you prefer, SketchUp or Rhino? And then the next question is Lumion or Twinmotion? Rhino and Twinmotion. Okay.
SketchUp.
Not that many. Yeah, mostly Rhino, seems like. Okay. Lumion. All of it. Okay. Okay. Let's see if Lumion runs here, and if it runs, I'll try to do it in Lumion. Just give me one moment. It's still loading. I'm trying to see if it runs. And if it doesn't, we're out of luck and we're going to have to pursue Twinmotion in that case. While I load my stuff, I suggest going to this website. This is called fab.com. This is the new marketplace for Epic Games. So go here, log in with your Epic accounts. By now, all of you should have it. Just log in with your Epic Games and then go to Quixel and claim all of the resources. That will take care of all of your texture issues. Like if you are looking for free but super high resolution textures, 8K textures, this would be the place to go. They're offering like this month for free, but from next month it will be paid. So yeah, this would be the time to claim all of them. Lumion seems to run, and it's fab.com. Again, fab.com. Just claim all the Quixel resources. All right. Okay, Lumion runs. That's great. idea why it's not opening.
Hey, Jason here. Yep.
Hmm. Okay, all of us have this file, right? Uh, Dr.
Right.
Moss,
File.
you put
The
it.
file course, courses folder, roll up courses folder, and then studio 3. Okay. Courses, studio 3. Then project 2 years. Annex. That's the rank file.
Okay,
Anyone having any trouble finding the file? No. Okay.
awesome. Just so you know, this was meant to be uh, only used for outside rendering. It's essentially just a shell, not a proper 3D of the department. There are like errors in it, so I'm sorry for that. But what we're trying to do today is also understand how to optimize our modeling process, uh, because like when visualizing, a lot of things can happen. We might go into a lot of different details, and sometimes maybe not all of those are necessary. Sometimes we might need to focus on just what we are trying to show. So because this is a sectional perspective, uh, one possible route we could go is just to understand where our section line is going to cut through and then detail out that specific portion of the model. So I'll do exactly that. Um, I was hoping that my section line would go somewhere from here to there. And then I'll start to model keeping this specific portion as my focus. Okay, so I'll show you what I mean. The first thing I'm gonna do is I'll copy all of this model elsewhere, and then I'll just hide a complete model. So I was here, I selected everything, and then I just clicked on this light bulb so that I have a copy. Even if I make an error, it's not a big deal because I can always go back to that model. The next thing I'm gonna do.
Sharing screen.
Oh,
It's fine.
yes. Okay. Again, what we did is we copied all of the model, we selected the model, and then we hid it. Great. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim the rest of the model that I don't need because I'm going to be standing over here looking to that direction. So select the line, trim, and trim whatever you don't need. It may take a while because like it's a large file in the end. Yes. Okay, so I have trimmed whatever I don't need, but we can still see a bunch of objects that are floating around. Um, so one way to get rid of all of those is just select and delete, but sometimes they might be part of a larger group, okay? Because this model was not created in groups, I can just delete. But if you create some groups, one wise way to select everything would be to type in remove from group and then select. Then even if they are in groups, you can select separate objects. Space, you have selected everything and then delete. All right, because I don't need any of those. What I need today is only this. My sectional perspective is going to run through here. I don't need an isometric view today, so I'll make it perspective. So to change your view mode, click on this small arrow, go into set view, and then perspective. Now everything is in perspective. Okay. Initially, like I set this up for an isometric view. Today we're going to work with perspective. So yeah, that's how you do it. You could use a clipping plane. No, not too much. But today I'm going to model a lot of different stuff. That's why I just trimmed and I'll remodel a lot of this. Okay, but if you have modeled everything, then you could just use a clipping plane. That works. I just decided not to go with the clipping plane route today. That's why. But you can use a clipping plane, yes. Okay, so now we have this. This is great. What I need to do now is look at my sketch, if I can find it. And see what are the changes that are going on. Definitely, this is not in scale, very bad in scale. But we have an idea of this part being like soil. So let's compare everything side by side and find the needs of our modelings. So this is soil, all right, but we need to add depth because initially I just created a plane. Then I'll have to subtract exactly one lane of road, and then I'll have to model the road itself as well. With that subtraction, I'll have to divide it by 2 and then create these GIs. And then actually that would be it. I might create some planter over here, but that's later on because like from this view, I have not cut a section for my planters. So that's okay. I might or might not create that. If we have time, we'll create another planter. But I'll show you how to like create a planter over here. And I'll also like go for the root barrier because why not? Does anyone know what a root barrier is? What is a root barrier? No. So root barriers are essentially plastic barriers that you like install underground so that your roots don't affect the infrastructures. Okay. You might have very large trees and their roots might spread a lot. So you use root barriers to stop that growth, like kind of the horizontal growth of the roots. Okay. It's just a cylinder, nothing much. Plastic cylinder. Let me show you a root barrier project. So it's exactly this. Why did that go? Yeah, just this. Comes in panels, you can install them very easily, essentially, ultimately looks like a cylinder. So a plastic cylinder would be just fine. So let's start with that. That's the simplest thing we've got today. So let's get into details. What we're gonna do is, okay, let's just create a circle first. Let's keep it 4 feet in diameter. So that would be 2 feet in radius. Could get a little more. Let's make it 6 feet. All right. Let's divide. It into. Let's calculate what would be a good divide point.
We're teaching here about the process, right? So about this hypothetical tree.
Yes.
Necessarily means that these are the things that needs to be in your form.
Exactly.
The design has very specific requirements. You know your site. You know what you're trying to achieve. You're trying to learn how to create sectional perspective, where you have a three-dimensional drawing, but also shows section. It's a very important visualization, very engaging visualization for audience to understand what's happening here. So don't be confused that the whole thing's you're designing this stuff.
Exactly.
Okay.
And we can always address the needs of your design. Okay, like after we show the basics, you can always come with questions. That's how this class goes always. I really appreciate your questions, and whatever question you may ask, I'd be happy to answer and then create something new, learn something new with you as well. Okay, so let's divide it by 9. Okay, that's good. Okay. What I'm trying to do here is create one segment of the root barrier so that it shows in the section. So what I did is I divided the whole circle in a 2 feet interval. And then I'm trying to create some thickness from the plan view so that I can just extrude it later on. That kind of works. I'm just trimming. Selection, trim, selection, trim. Okay, that looks okay. I'll hide my points. Join the lines. Then extrude. Yeah, that's much better. Let's extrude it 2 feet and let's make it solid. Yeah, that kind of looks okay. Now let's draw a circle. Oh. And then array this element all along the circle. So array curve, objects to array would be this. Path curve would be this. And then number of items should be 9. And that should make an exact perfect root barrier. Any question how I did this? All I did is I created the circle beforehand so that I understand how this segment would go, and then extracted the segment. It doesn't matter like what number you do, just remember the number. I divided the whole circle into 9 parts. Then I created this part and then extruded, and then arrayed it all along the circle 9 times. Okay, because I initially selected that my division number would be 9. I wanted this perimeter to be 2 feet. My total radius was 6 feet. Sorry, diameter was 6 feet. That made the perimeter 18 feet. So to make it into 2 feet, I had to divide it by 9. Whatever you need to do, okay? So that would be my root barrier. Done. Let's get it underneath. That kind of works. And if you want to create some more, that's fine too. Like it would depend on the plan design. I'll group this. That's one part of this whole done. Now let's work with the Bio Swales. These are actually pretty simple. All we need to do is go to the top and understand the dimension. So that's around, let's keep it 10 feet. Let's keep some space. So 10.8 would be somewhere around 10 feet, 10 inches or something. But let's keep it 10 feet. So the width of our bioswales are gonna be 5 feet. We're going to divide it by 2. All right. So let's do that. Again, should have gone. This is confusing. Yeah. That's better. That should start somewhere over here. Can anyone tell me the depth of a Bio Swale that works? I don't know either. So yeah, let's just Google it. And it's okay because we're here to learn and we might need to like look references up time to time. Okay, that's simple. Should have at least 12 inches of depth for ponding. Let's make it somewhere around 1.5 feet. And then there should be different medias installed. That's what these are. And that should be at least 2 feet. So somewhere around 3 or 3.5 feet. Okay, so let's do that. So I'll start with just a line and make it shaded, of course. Somebody changed my settings. I'll just run with it. That's fine. So that was 1.5 feet. And then another 2 feet. That would be the overall depth. That's fine. And we established that the width is going to be 5 feet. So let's do that. Let's save the file because, yeah, it's doing that. I don't know why. Yes. What you can do to speed up your process is save this file as, and then just delete the grid layers, okay? That would, like, grids are very heavy for this file. So just delete the grids, because for the sectional perspective, we don't need the grids. All right. Hopefully that would speed up the process. That's too much. And again, you don't have to follow my design. This is like whatever you need to do, okay? Okay, we have everything we may need. Now it's time to create some thickness. So let's make it thick. I'm hoping that the edge is going to be built of concrete. So 3 inches should be fine. I'll do an offset and get my thickness 3 inches. And I'll create a cap that's flat. Okay, I have everything I need. Now what I need to do is, I don't actually have everything I need. Somewhere in the middle, I need to have a water drainage pipe. So let's just create that. Let's create 3 inches pipe that runs through the middle. Can anyone tell me how a Bio Swale works? Do you know how that works? No? You can tell. Yeah, let's share. No? Don't be afraid. I know you know. Okay. So the main purpose of the Bio Swale is to like slow down the speed of the runoff. Okay, whenever it rains, we have seen that our streets flood, and like near the drains, water flows at a much higher rate, which might create some problems because water is a resource and we don't need to waste that. Whenever it runs off to the drains, it's such a waste. Like we could retain that water to like grow all sort of things, right? We could use that water for gardening, could like enhance our bio populations or stuff. So that's why we use bioswales. Essentially, what it does is it creates some infiltration points so that water is retained in a sort of manner. And we use soil on the upper layers and then use aggregates in the lower layers. So that, like, I'm giving a very simplified version of this. There are courses that you're going to take just on this. So yeah, just keep in mind, this is very simple. And some of the information might change as you grow up. But essentially what it does, it is slows down the water runoff through those like soils and aggregates. And whenever you plant something, say you plant some local grass, you plant a tree, those roots are going to retain the water at a much higher rate as well. So that's why we use bioswales. So it's usually at the lowest point of whatever infrastructure you're working on, so that your water runs off onto this. And then when water comes at this point, it's kind of retained with all the like tree roots or plant roots, your aggregates, your soils, and things like those. That's how essentially that works. It's a very, very, very simplified explanation of how it works. Anyway, we have everything we need now. So let's put it into the right place, which is going to be this part of the road. And now we're going to extrude that. So we could extrude all of this, or we could get a line out of this road and then create a sweep one. Remember sweep one? Can anyone remind what sweep one does? We have used sweep one in the previous project. Almost all of us. What does sweep one do? Yes, along the path, right? Exactly. So I will not draw a line. Instead, I'll try to generate a line. How am I gonna do that? With this. So this is duplicate face border. And this is the face I need. It could not. Okay. See, it created a line along that. I could do that with this as well, but for now, for this sectional perspective, that's fine. So I will isolate this, explode that line, delete whatever I don't need. And then just sweep one. Rail would be this. Why are there two lines? Sweep one, rail, shapes. Done. Unable to order shapes on by. Let's see what's wrong. It's perfect. That true. All right, that works. Okay, we have that. So we have the base infrastructure of the Bio Swale, but I will not create the infills, okay? Because I'm gonna do that in Photoshop, and when I'm gonna do that, the fab account you just added will benefit you in a lot of different ways. Just keep this in mind. So I have this. I will copy this over here so that I have two, and then I'll create the road inside. So essentially what I'm gonna do is create the road with this line. And then make it like this so that the water runs off exactly where I need it to go. And I could just sweep, or I could extrude, whatever I need. Oh. Yeah, that's my road. Okay, that's great. At this point, I'm going to hide my image a little so that you can see how this road is coming out, which is kind of nice. I like it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to create the top surface because we are going to create perspectives. The top is going to be visible. So let's create the top. Essentially, this is just a rectangle. I was hoping that this would run through that, but it did not. So just a planar surface is fine. And we can copy that over here. And we have our bioswales. I'm going to assign materials later. I'll assign all the materials all at once. So don't worry too much about it. But any questions up to this point? Like, do any of you have something similar going on? Anything you might need to like revise? Any question you might have on how I did this? Anything? Any question? Yeah, I've been talking for half an hour. Yes,
Can
please.
you look over how you got it?
Go.
Milestone go across the whole.
Oh, that was sweep one. I just drew the section however I needed. I drew the line where it needed to go, like the path that it needs to follow. And then you select the path, sweep one, and then click on your section. That's a good question. Anything else? No? All right. Okay. So now let's look back at the sketch and let's see what's going on. Yeah, let's create another planter on this pave, maybe over here, because like, yeah, this is way too wide and it doesn't have any shading. To make anywhere in Labok accessible, I feel that we should create natural shading. okay? Because the heat is intense and you cannot enjoy nature without the shades. So it's essential that you create shades in different ways. Like it doesn't have to be trees, it doesn't have to be whatever I tell you. You create your own. But any idea on how we should create shades? Because we are going to create some trees over here. I was hoping that I could show you something different over here. So anyone working on like interesting shading patterns, shading structures? Yeah. Cylinder type shading structure. Could you show me an image or something? Or a sketch? You might have. So let's create what you showed, a free-form shading structure. What do you think the top is gonna be? Like, is it a fabric? Is it glass? Is it metal? Okay, won't that create more heat? Let me show you something interesting. Have you seen this one? No? Let's see. Yeah. This was done by a British architect named David Adjaye, and he created this metal. This is too heavy. I don't suggest that you do this. I don't particularly like this, but what you showed reminded me of this. Okay, so let's make something like this in your form. So yeah, we have some interesting stuff going on. So what you showed was something like this. What I can do is, yeah, we could do it with just a rectangle and then fill it, but I'll show you something more interesting. All right. Maybe it goes somewhere over here. Maybe something like this. And then I could fill it, but I won't. Instead, I will use blend curve. So blend curve gives you something like this. In this case, that's not the best. Yeah. I don't have to give it fillet radius. It creates fillet radiuses on its own to like make it blended. It's fine. Not so great. Let's trim this a little. Okay. Let's join. And now let's create those like leaf type perforations. Okay. What would be the easiest way to do that? That's what I'm trying to think. We could just draw. That would be easy, but that won't be interesting. Why don't, yeah. Because I'm lazy, I'll show you something like this. But you don't need to follow this. You can draw. That's also fine. And like for yours, you can just use the glass structure for this. This is how. So what we can do is we could create some random points. I'm just drawing points, and that's over here. Again, this. Now I'm going to create something like a leaf. Have I showed this to any of you? So this is Grasshopper. This is the parametric modeling tool for Rhino. And hopefully we are going to use this for some of our environmental modeling techniques later on this class. But this is very powerful, and you don't have to be stuck with only environmental modeling. Instead, you could do a lot. So I'll show this as a preview. You could ask questions, of course, but I'm not expecting you to use this into your design at this stage. Okay. So what I'm going to do, and again, I will explain what I'm doing, but this might be a bit complicated. So yeah, this is not the purpose of this course. So I'm double clicking on to the Grasshopper interface, typing in curve. And because I drew this curve inside Rhino, I have to like import this into Grasshopper. So right click, set one curve. And now that curves become this, which is fine. And then what I can do is set multiple points. Let's make it even more interesting. Why not? Let's just forget about this. Why? This would be much interesting. And if you're confused about these names, display, draw full names. So these points are going to be this. And I can always scale. The way this goes, if any of you are interested, I see some of you are dozing off, so I will not explain this in detail, but these buttons, the left side is input and the right side is output. So anything you see in the left, points, radius, boundary, these all are input that we can give. Here you can see that the points that I created here are the inputs for the cells. And then we can get the cells out, the centers as the points, and then you can see I can like create this. So the factor, I could make it variable in a lot of different ways, but this should be fine. That kind of works. And I could always fill it if I don't want the sharpness. If anyone is wondering about the units, Grasshopper don't have any units. It inherits the units from Rhino. So we might need to divide this into 12 to make it into inches. Because I can't think in decimal feet. And I really wish I could show you both screens. That way it would be much more understandable. But because I'm recording, I can't. Yeah, that kind of works. I don't know why saving takes so long. Maybe the textures I used are too heavy. Yes. And again, remove from group is your friend. And now, if you just hide the points, only select the lines, go to your view, and then extrude, you'll have all of this perforated. Let's make it 2 inches thick. And mine is metal, but if you want this to be glass, I will use the structure that I created, which is this. I will hide this, select the outline, trim whatever I don't need. And then make them into pipes so that they work as the structure for my class. Let's make it 1.5 inches. Yeah. Perfect. That works. And like, you don't have to follow the pattern I created. You could create your own pattern. That's fine. But essentially, you just create the outline and then extrude. And if you have some perforations, when creating the outline, create the perforations with it and then select everything and then extrude. That way you don't have to trim these later on. Now, if we want to create the periphery of this, just extrude it downwards and then trim whatever you don't need. So like from your sketch, I understood that like this might overhang a little. So I'll just draw 2 lines where I don't need the like outside and then trim. And then you can give it some thickness. Okay. Questions? Simple, actually. To give it thickness, I used offset surface. The group, then move. And now, if I want to cut this, I created all of this, but never be afraid to trim whatever you don't need. So select and trim, because, yeah. Oh. Something like this. Okay. And I'm not too worried about like the gaps I'm creating. I will fill everything up in Photoshop. Okay, we have this shading. Anyone working with seating? Different seating? Any sketch? Anything interesting going on? Any interesting seating anyone created? You can tell if you have one. Yeah. Let's try to create something like a leaf. And after this leaf, we are going to start to render, okay? So far, what I've shown, anybody else have any questions that I might not have run into, like something completely different? Something completely out of what I have been showing. I'm not showing math, so that's very much possible. And I'd love to address those questions as well. Okay. Having trouble visualizing how to do that, but you said, but let's this is too simple. Why not something like this? Okay, I have a question for you. Which one do you like more, this or this? And that was this or this? The first one? Okay. So let's create that, because I'm having a little trouble on like how a leaf would go, and then yeah, that would be, we can do that definitely, but the problem with that would be the cost. Like if you're creating something completely overhang, have to counterbalance that weight underneath, and that would be very heavy. And because we're trying to create a nature retreat or something, we don't like want to like make it too. I just come to you.
I was thinking something we have to do that structure, right? And you can do something that kind of goes under to kind of go with it, it's just kind of have all your details on it, but it doesn't necessarily have to be like.
Okay. Yeah, this would be the setting, right? But what I'm wondering is how this is connecting to the ground. Is it just this? And then maybe concrete or the stem come out? That would be the core structural element. But that would be so costly. That's
Right.
what I'm wondering.
I was thinking just the poles underneath,
Okay.
but then like the stem is like a little,
Yeah.
but nothing
Okay.
crazy.
Okay. So let's create what you showed me. So let's create that leaf. I just created this. Oh. And then this. Let's edit a little. And now what we're gonna do, I should not have joined this because at this point I need this separate. Now we're gonna create some lines from here to here and then from here to there to create an expression of this guy. All right, so let's do that. One way we could do is just follow this. The exact number of the division along each part of the leaf would be the same in that case. But because we have Grasshopper, at least I have Grasshopper, you don't, but you can have it, that's fine. I'm taunting you a little so that you may be interested to use Grasshopper later on. So set one curve, this guy, copy 3 times because we have 3 curves. So one curve would be that. Next, sorry. Set one curve, set one curve, set one curve. Now what I can do, I'll just move this out of my way. Divide curve. Random number. Copy, paste. Copy, paste, and one more time. Because we are aiming for 2 different numbers for this side and this side. This middle one would have to be divided twice. So we have these 2. Then I'll have another number that's a little different. And then have this 2. That curve as my input. So you see, oh, that's something. So you can see these divide separately, these divide separately. And now all I need to do is just create lines out of them. So line that connects 2 points. It's already starting to look like a leaf. That happened because the direction of this curve and this curve is not the same. Let's analyze that. So this goes this way, that's fine. This goes the other way. We need to flip, and then this should be corrected. All right, we have almost everything we need. I should have done it a little differently. Yeah, I created some lines, but what would benefit me is to divide this surface so that I can scale them a little. instead of lines, just divide my surface. Two surface that are divided. U count is this way, V count is this way. Usually it's X and Y, but like by now you know that X and Y means very specific axis. So U and V are more widely used. Should not. That kind of works. Yeah, that kind of works. That's true. Awesome. There we have the city. This is a perfect geometry of what we needed. We have the core branch and then sub branches, which is great. Now, what we need to do is get the hang of the middle one. Offset this guy. Into both sides. Then just get into something like this with a little backrest. Or if we don't want that, what we can do is we can always copy a part of it. Sorry. Let's take it up. Let's make it a bit more interesting. Maybe something like this. Then we can loft. And it looks okay. And then we can offset surface. Let's make it too much. Sides, let's make it 1 inch. That kind of works. All right. So we have that bench. And now all we need to do is just create some structures underneath. It should be pretty simple. Just copy it into random places for now. So we could get into excruciating details with all the structures we may need. This should suffice for now. Very lightweight bench. That could go underneath the structure we just created. All right. Questions? Okay. Now, what we need to do is like, essentially, I was just focusing on this part. I did not create the like pay for this specific part. So we need to create one pay for this. So let's just do that. Let's create one rectangle from here to here. Here. Then extrude that. Yeah. Perfect. The other things we may need are some soils. They should do. We'll talk about soils later, and if we need different details about the soils, we can always come back to Rhino. So different stuff we created a shading, we created Bio Swales, which are very necessary. We created a road that has some banking, created a seating structure, we created a road barrier. Now let's get everything into our renderings. We don't have any thickness for the walls, which we should have. So offset surface, let's make it 1 feet. That should work. Much too little. That should work. Perfect. So we have everything. For a section, one important step that we need to keep in mind is that everything has to have some kind of thickness. If we are trying to render different stuff just for visualization, just creating shells are good enough. But when creating sections, thickness are extremely important. And that's why you are seeing me to go through everything, like this detail, this doesn't have a thickness yet. So after you have done everything, just do offset surface. That would create some kind of thickness for you. And then when you are done, just hide whatever you don't need. Okay? You don't need the points, you don't need the lines. We just need our 3D models. Okay? So that's how you kind of model for the sectional perspective. And then you have to take everything into the software of your choice, which in this case would be Lumion. While Lumion loads, I'll just create different materials for each part. So this for me was a metal. I prefer to use cotton metals, which are kind of rusted. So use this. This would be pitch. Asphalt. And because I'm using Lumion, I'm not too much worried about the materials because Lumion has a lot of different good materials. I should have created some concretes, but I have grouped everything. And oh, these are nice. Great. Then I should turn off my image layer. Don't need that anymore. So this would be Bio Swale. You don't yet know what the top material is going to be. But let's just keep it brown because maybe soil. I'm not sure. So it should be metal. Could be white. Just give it a material anyway. They don't have thickness, which they should. Then apes. They are wood mostly. We have a wood? No. Those should be metal. Group. What am I missing? I don't think I'm missing anything else. I'm missing some ground over here, which I'll worry about later. Okay? But everything else looks kind of fine. Anything I'm missing so far? No? Anything else you need me to show how to model? Because, like, if not, then I'll move into rendering, for which we don't have much time, but this should be enough. Oh, she just thumbs up. Thumbs. Okay. So I have Lumion. I've not used Lumion in years, 2 years to be exact, because Twinmotion came out, and I really like Twinmotion. But why not? You should know better Lumion than me. It's good. So I don't trust Lumion with larger files. It crashes time to time. So I'll save it first. Before anything I do, I'll just save as. I just need to know how many of you use Livesync for Lumion. For any software, SketchUp or Rhino, none. Do you know what it does? Okay. If you want, I could install that for everyone. Like not right now, but I could for later sessions. That might save you some time. So for those who don't know, Live Link for Lumion allows you to import Rhino model. And then if you make changes into the Rhino model, your Lumion will be updated automatically. All right, if you have that turned on. I might go, but you don't have it, so I might need to show you the way that you know. So, okay, yeah, just show you the traditional way of doing it. Okay, first thing first, we need to import the models. Let's see how far Lumion has come. Save this as a Rhino file. Okay, and I'll try to see if Lumion can import a Rhino file this time. No, it can't. Well, it's good to be back. Didn't I just delete everything I did not need? Better. So it seems like Lumion does not import Rhino files. What we need to do, go to File, Export Selected, and select everything you need to export. In my case, I deleted my lines and points so that I don't export them accidentally. And my preferred method of importing into Lumion is Collada, DAE, this guy. But you could also export a SketchUp file, and that also works. So let's work with SketchUp because, if you want to like do anything later on with SketchUp, you can. There's SketchUp. So file name is for Lumion. That's okay. Now I can import that file. That works. Okay. Yeah. Not too many issues. No issues at all, to be exact. It kind of works for us. So what's the problem? Can anyone tell me? We can't see anything underneath the ground. What do we need to do? We could move it upwards. That would be the most obvious solution. But there's one other solution that I can remember. So there's a section plane in Lumion, which should be over here. And oh, we have a landscape cutter now. That's nice. Let's try that. Yes, that's really nice. We could directly use that. That's new. I did not know that that existed. I was going for something else. I was going for this guy, flip plane, but this is awesome. This is new, at least for me. I don't know if you have used it, but landscape cutter is something that you can use apparently, and you can just extend however you need to kind of go through the ground, okay? Which is awesome. Which is exactly what we need for our sectional perspective. And if anyone is wondering how I'm controlling stuff, I am just using select, and then I can just change the points of the landscape cutter. This is great. Awesome. Exactly what I need with one click. It's so great. This is such a nice tool. I did not know that this existed.
Choose an angle that shows a little bit of the pedestrian more. Yeah, it's probably better, right?
Okay.
You?
Yeah. It just cuts through the landscape. So anything you have underneath shows. Okay, we have that. Now, before I go for any kind of rendering, what I need to do is I need to, oh, there's one other issue. Let's fix that later because this is going to be green anyway. Let's create a camera, okay? So cameras are over here now. And if this looks okay for me, I'll just store the camera. I'm not worrying too much about the grass that's going through because I'm going to fix everything with Photoshop anyway. So yeah. That kind of. Let's do one more. That's better. Let's go into build mode. I'll not move around too much because this is what I need. This is exactly my focus. And this is what I need to detail up. So let's plant some trees and let's see how many trees they have. No, oh, they have a crepe myrtle. That's nice. Nice. So let's put that crepe myrtle over here. Let's have some oaks. That kind of works. I was planning to create some planters over there anyway. You can see through my very messy sketch. But yeah, let's keep them over there. We can always go back and Photoshop. And this is what you need to understand, that you cannot model everything in 3D. Sometimes there are bound to be mistakes, and you need to understand how to correct those mistakes with Photoshop. Okay? Because in the end, this is just one presentation drawing. You might need to do a lot more than this in one single project. So just keep your focus in track, like what you need to do. Like for one visualization purpose, Photoshop should be good enough for like things that are in the distance. Okay. I could just go back in Rhino and create like a punch in this pave and then create some soils, but won't that be too time consuming? Just keep that in mind. Balance your time. This over here as well. And I tend to keep my things in layers. So in layer 2, I usually give my humans. It's Dr. Monsoor. And you can always change the transparency of your human. And also colorize. This is important. As most of you already know, I don't use base humans. I just use the silhouettes of the humans. So in Lumion, the process to do that would be colorize and then pick the color you might need. Some more maybe. Why is everyone posing? I'd never understand. Like, why not a single natural human? One car, maybe. Stuck somewhere. No. Yeah, this is a one way. So that should work. And then let's create some push. Yes. That could substitute as an agave. I don't know. Let's keep it in the distance. Dr. Monster, how much time do we have?
Leave ovens.
Okay, 10 more minutes. This is off. Yeah, you can see I don't have access to many trees or plants. I wish I had more, but I don't. Now let's do a little materials. Did anyone know that you could do this? Yeah, this should be good enough to take into Photoshop. So we still have 10 minutes. So let's go into photo and let's try to render this out. Oh, this is 10.
Yes.
So
Yes.
so
Is it not updated?
no, it is. I'm just, yeah. Sorry. Okay. We have this now. Again, we don't have too many smaller plants that we might appreciate. So we might need to get into Photoshop and Photoshop a lot. But let's create some effects. So let's get into effects. Let's go into custom style first. And there should be one realistic, this guy. That kind of works. I don't particularly like how the sun is going. That could work for us. Yeah, let's work with this. Not spend too much time in Lumion. Anybody want me to show anything in Lumion?
Living planes.
Oh. So clipping plane is actually pretty simple. You just go to your content library, go to utilities, and then hit place, and this is the clip plane. Okay. And wherever you place, this is going to cut, which is great. but you can see it's cutting from the top. So to make that not happen, you can just, change the heading, then maybe the pitch. Okay, so that's how you use a clipping plane. So you don't have to create something I created in Rhino. Just keep in mind about the thickness, and then you could use the clipping plane and the landscape cutter in a combo. Okay, if your 3D models are great, you can just import those in Lumion and then use the clipping plane and the landscape cutter together. But yeah.
Do the whole site.
Yes.
And then.
Yes. Yeah. But that might take a while because you might not want to create all the details of your site in a 3D model. Yeah, that's a good thing. Yeah, then yeah, that's true. Then clipping plane.
Less time to do one whole thing.
Yeah, that's correct.
Section.
Yeah. Then like doing the whole thing in 3D and then cutting in different places might be more efficient. But because I did it like this, I'll not use the clipping plane. I could, but at this point I won't. Anything else? Clipping plane is just inside utilities and then this guy. Anything else in Lumion? We know how to create the creepers like this. Well, that's a bad creeper. Yes. So in materials, you go into the foliage and then you just start with the spread. This is a bad one. That might work, yeah. So I did not use any wood over here. So yeah, that no.
Is there a way to export like based off different layers so they're easier to select?
Materials. Oh, yes, I'll show you that. When we render things from Lumion, I'll show you how to get, those are called material IDs. We'll show you how to do that as well. Thanks for reminding. I might have forgotten, but good. Thank you. All right. So let's go to our photo and then click on render. So you can see a bunch of different stuff like this. Okay, let's talk about them one by one. So this is the depth map. What it does is it creates a, like from white to black, depending on the depth of the photo. So the farthest part of the photo is going to be absolute black, which is going to be the sky. And everything is going to be various shades of grays. And then exactly where the camera is standing, that's going to be white. So if you are planning to create 3D photos in, say, I don't know, Facebook, this would be your way to go. But we don't need that for now. We could use that for other types of renders, like if we are going for, say, camera focus changes with Photoshop's camera raw filters and things like those, we could use this. But for a sectional perspective, we don't need this. Normal map is the bumps of different stuff. We have not used different bumps. If you are like looking at an object at a very close range, then you might need this. This is reflection map, quite close to the normal map, but instead of normals, it saves reflections. Same for lighting map. Sky alpha is the sky. So if you want to create a PNG out of your renders, this would be one thing we need.
So if you want to know, going to be the sky.
Yes. And then this is the one that you were asking for. This is the material ID map. So if you want your materials with different colors, and if you want to select your materials in a very particular way inside Photoshop, you'd use this. Yes, I will. But I have turned on Sky Alpha and Material ID. So just keep that in mind. So let's render. And I might need to crop a lot. That's why I'm getting a larger sized render. JPEGs are fine because we can create PNGs later on. Yes. Same. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Let's see how it goes. This is what we were expecting, but the next two are going to be a bit different. This will render all three passes with this render.
So it will save us 3.
Yes. No. Yep.
Will it be put sky out material differently, or will it be just?
You'll see. So this is the Sky Alpha. So everything is black and the sky is white. So I'll show you how to control everything in Photoshop in a minute. But this is how Sky Alpha looks. And this is how material IDs look. You see the top and the bottom of the ground is very nicely like differentiated, which is what we need exactly. This is great. So it has done it. Let's move into Photoshop and just I'll show you how to control all of this. Okay, we have different things that we need. First thing first, we need to get the base render inside Photoshop. And please pay attention because this is going to save a lot of your time. Okay. Don't worry too much about the Lumion logo. We can always, can anyone tell me how we can get rid of this logo? These days? Yes. Generative fills. So select that and then generative fill. Don't give it any prompt. Just click on generate. Click on agree. It takes a while. It uses AI to fill that part out and then it's gone. So if you have that logo, just use generative fill without any prompt. That will get rid of that logo, which is great. Now let's bring both of them. Let's bring the Sky Alpha. So you can see it has moved a little. We don't want that. We want this to be exactly located on top of the base image. So move it a little where the corners are matched and then hit enter. Similarly, get the material ID. They need to be perfectly on top of each other. Otherwise, this won't work. Okay. So the thing that you need to control all of this is this guy, color range. So that's inside select and then color range. So say I want to get rid of the sky. I'll go to select color range and then click on the white. Now I have the white selected. I'll turn off my sky alpha. You see, I only have the sky selected. And then I'll unlock my base layer and delete the sky. Okay, super, super simple. Or what I can do, sorry, is I can just erase parts of it. That kind of works too. I'm hoping that this would go somewhere in your sheet. So we might need this guy a little, but not too much. Yeah. You can see it beautifully kept the other geometries that you might need. Now let's work with the material IDs the same way. So for me, the ground is usually different shades of gray. And the purple here is the ground. So I'll go to select color range, select the purple, hit OK, and then turn off the material ID, create a new layer, and then I'd make it kind of gray. And from now on, the process is going to be pretty similar. Okay, don't worry too much about that. We can always. Oh, that's why. Do that. See, it's already coming into shape. If you're worrying too much about these parts, just use your lasso, not this lasso, rather the polygonal lasso. Then select. Okay. Some shortcuts I always use, and you might already know this, but it would be a good reminder. First, and I'd love if you take notes on this because shortcuts are very tedious to remember. So if you have this written somewhere, this might help you a lot. The first shortcut is filling with the foreground color. So this is the foreground color. This is the background color. And if you select something, say this part, to fill this up, Alt backspace with the foreground color. And then Control backspace with the background color. Okay, this would save you a lot of time in terms of section drawing. The next thing I want you to know is V. V is this guy. So you can always come back and select him, but yeah, V is this, L is lasso, W is this. So mostly these tools, Alt backspace, Control backspace, V, L, W. And we will use some customized brushes for hatch and different stuff. So that's going to be a bit later. What else do we need? Let's start working with what we have. So what we don't have is a lot of native ground covers or plants. So name some stuff that you want to see here. One thing I know is Texas sage. So always try to match the perspective that you have. That will reduce a lot of your work. Just copy image, paste. And here eraser is your friend. So erase whatever you don't need. Do that with a soft eraser. That way it kind of merges with what you have. A line of them. And this will flip This is so fun. Like the process is very repetitive, but it's very fun in my opinion. You get to do a lot of different stuff with the same technique. Essentially copy, paste, erase, lasso. You might know about this process better than I do. Plants, give me plants. Name of the plants. Anything. What?
Spanish bag.
Okay. Let's have some feeder grass first, and then I'll do. Oh, those should be in the background. Oh, too great. You could get really fancy with your selection, but I really like the old method of selecting stuff or erasing stuff in this case. You could use this as well, object selection tool, but yeah. What was the name?
Spanish.
Oh, sorry.
It's a big trees.
We could use that. Spanish what? Dagger. Sorry. Oh, yeah, I didn't know its name, but I do know this plant. Here, I'll use this selection. So that's these two. So usually you'll see magic wand on top of it, but if you click and hold, see the object selection, and then you just select an object. It does that. And we don't want the tree to be deleted. We want the sky and the other part of the image. So just Control-Shift-I, inverse selection, and then we can change the color palette. That's fine.
Yeah.
That's a bit large, but let's keep it. Why not? Mine is a bit warm, so let's make it warm. Image adjustment, color balance. let's make it a bit yellowish. See, kind of matches. Or Control Shift A for the camera raw filter. And then you could just increase the temperature a little. That also helps. What else? Let's do daisies.
Photoshop might be used.
If it was up to me, I'd use all the plants in Photoshop. Yeah. Yeah. Like that was the way it was done up until a few years ago. Lumion has created some plants. Like if I searched thoroughly, I might have found a Spanish dagger. But in most of the cases, they don't look that natural. Like, see, this color is not too appealing. This is just too bright for my choice. So, like, might just delete this and create this inside Photoshop as well. Even though I can find a crepe metal in Lumion, I don't like how they look. Not too natural. And I can always like change the mood of different plants in Photoshop. Like, see, these don't really match the palette I'm using. So if I want to match them, Control Shift A, that's camera raw filter, and then just turn up the temperature a little. You'll see the difference. See, now it's kind of more warm and a little gray. Control Shift A, temperature down. What else?
How do you get the plants bed? So, and like you can see the feather grass like grew in that bit. Does that mean anything or does it just like or you just do it for
That's up to you. Like there are different reasons we create these visualizations. One is to understand more about the system, and then another way would be planting design. So if you're focusing more on planting designs, your plants should be super sharp. You should not use this method, rather use this method more. I showed you two different methods. One is with the AI selection and then just erase. So basic visualization eraser works just fine. But if you're working on more of a technical visualization, then maybe the other way around. Okay. Depends on the purpose of the visualization. Here, my purpose is to understand what's going on underneath and just get a glimpse of what types of plant might grow in this system. But yours might be different, and then you'll use a different system. So
color selection tool? So just
yes, I could.
That one, the multi-color.
Yes,
So just like yellow.
yes, and then turn the saturation down. So select color range, this guy, turn off, and then see how I'm selecting layer 0. So Control J is duplicate selection. Control J. Then go to image, adjustment, hue saturation. And then you could turn the saturation a little down, make it a little light. That kind of works. It's not standing out too much. The difference is, yeah. I don't like how that green looks, so I might delete that. Again, I'll use a soft eraser to delete. And in this case, I might need to delete the sky altogether. Yeah, that's much better. And I can always bring another sky that would match my needs. Now let's talk a little about the sections, the section lines. So I have created a ground that's kind of like solid gray, but I could always use some textured brushes to make it feel a bit better. So let's see if I have any texture brushes. I believe I have given all of these brushes to all of you. So you might just go back and use them. Again, somebody messed with my brush settings. That kind of works. So let's make some darker tones. So the way you select this, there are two ways you could do this. You just control and click on the thumbnail, and that will select only this layer. Then you could just work with the brushes. I don't know why it's getting yellow. It should not. Oh, that's why. I was using a smudge instead of a brush. It's doing the same. Let's download some brushes. We could, yes. We could do that, but I prefer a bit darker gray, so like it delineates the underground. But you could do white, that's also fine. And to get advanced brush setting, you could always press F5, or in my case, function F5, and then flip X. That way it's kind of mirrored. That kind of works. Now let's create some custom brushes to fill these parts. And I prefer these fields to be architectural. So what I do is go to a new file. Let's create a 2000 by 2000 pixel. Wrong. Then I'll create a very thin selection, paint it solid black, go to edit, define brush preset. That would be my straight line brush. I can paint, which is great, but what I need to do is go to function F5, create some spacing between the strokes so that it kind of looks like a hatch, and then give it an angle of 45 because I want a brick hatch. So for this part, just select this, and I'll create a new layer for this. Make it solid white, and then I will, this is too large, let's make it a bit smaller, a bit thinner. Yeah, so if you just press shift and then click and drag, that will happen. That's how we give stylized hatches in Photoshop. I'll do the same for here. This would be concrete. So let's select that. Let's take a little time to select this right, because there are some details that are there. And this is just my choice, all right? You don't have to follow through what I do. You can create styles of your own. And that's fine too. Like, we want you to create your own styles. Let's keep concretes in a separate layer. Let's try to find something like this. This should work. So I'll just snip this. Copy, paste it in Photoshop in a new file. Remove the gray because I want this to be on white. So select color range, gray, fuzziness a little more, delete. That kind of works. And like for this resolution is not that of a matter because like our area is pretty small. If like the most importance was given here, I'd have gone into CAD and then get this out. But here this should be fine. So edit, define pattern, and conc hatch. Then double click pattern overlay and then get your concrete hatch. Scale should be lower, of course. All right, so we have concrete. Glass should be just solid blue. Do that. This should be concrete again. because I like pattern overlay, now whatever I fill here should be with the hatch I created. Let's see. No. If I have given a separate material over here inside Rhino, then I could have selected the edges, but because I did not, this was supposed to be concrete. So you see in this layer, I created a pattern overlay already. Yeah. However, I feel this will always have the pattern on it. So if I just created some random brush strokes, sorry, not that brush, obviously, but yeah.
So you do on that later.
Yeah, it's going to be filled with that. Now let's fill the inside. This is very important because we want to show what material goes inside that. So at least for the top part, that's gonna be a soil. Let's see what we can find here. So I'll log in. Inside my library, I can type for soil. Art. Ground. This is embarrassing. No. This could work. This is so bad. But like get this anyway, because this will be very costly very soon. See how I wrote seamless Can anybody remind me what seamless was? Like, why do we need seamless?
See,
Seam between repetitions. So again, I brought this into Photoshop, edit, define pattern, let's name it something. We we have that. Let's have this done. These should be Gradle mostly. The problem with these textures are like some of them might have copyright in them. So I wanted you to use this. These are all free, but for some reason I can't find my main library. They're going through some upgrades, so maybe that's an issue. Again, this is so unprofessional at this point. Yeah, that kind of works. And if we don't like how this looks, because like technically this should not be visible from here, we can always go back and lasso them. But I kind of like how it shows, so I'll keep it like this. So that's how you can essentially create a sectional perspective. Any questions so far? Like this should, I think it's time for me to conclude this. I don't have much to show, but if you had anything that I need to show. It's an ongoing process, and like, yeah, I think this is where I should end because it kind of looks okay to me. But yeah, it's up to your choices. I did not create a solid fill over there. So for metals, I usually use solid black. That should go in as well. Uh, oh, okay. Yeah, I think this is good. And don't be afraid to add annotations wherever you need. Like this might look very like technically correct, which it is, but sometimes you might need to do some more stylized stuff. Remember that you're aiming for some competitions, maybe sometimes, maybe, and also for your portfolio. Like expressing your ideas are extremely important, and a pristine technical drawing might not be the way to do that. So what I mean is you might just like get this printed in a very high resolution, and then you might just draw on top of it, like just some texts or maybe some diagrams on top of it. Sketches are extremely important on whatever you do. That helps you to express your ideas in a more expressive manner. So yeah, even though this is a technical drawing, you can use your sketches to enhance it. That's what I think. So yeah, questions, concerns, specific design questions. Okay. So let's stop recording. Way you should do that is you should go into the build mode and go into the material. Just pick one material. Oh, that has changed. Sorry. I was thinking of an older method, but you can do it like this. This was over here just a few versions ago. Did they? I can't click on anything, which is weird. Wow. Give me one moment. Yeah. One of the reasons I don't trust Lumion. It's not where it used to be. So I'll come back to you later. Okay. It was like initially in the materials, but right now, like it has only 2 sets. So I'd have to go back and check if it's only the student version issue or like it's a completely new set of command. But another way you could go about is use the Livesync for Lumion. So you could either go into this website. I'm so sorry, I can't do it right now because I forgot my password. I tried last night, I could not, but if you search for this, or just search for Lumion, that's not there anymore. Wow. Something is going on with Lumion. I don't know exactly what, but there was this plugin called Rhino Livesync for Lumion. Maybe I just Google it. Okay. Yeah, it's in the official Lumion website now for some reason. So you could download this and then install this to your PC. Then you'll have a new bar for Rhino to Lumion. And then if you just click on the live sync, this will get auto updated. So you don't have to worry about re-importing the model. Just update your model and then it will change inside Lumion. Okay, so this is the one. Did you find it inside this website?
Yes, sir. I still don't have some.
Livesync. Okay. Oh yeah, here it is. But I need to log in to show you this. Let's see if I can. I could not doesn't mean that I won't.
Is there the same one for the twin motion?
Yes. For Twinmotion, you don't need to do it like this because, like, if you export it with DataSmith, then you just replace the DataSmith and then reload. Reload is very simple in Twinmotion. But there is one live sync, so yeah, that works. So I was able to log in this time. Let's see. I need to close my Rhino for this. So save everything, close Rhino, install that. That I should save this as well. But this is maybe the reason why that re-import button doesn't exist anymore, because they might be promoting this feature. And this is free for all. Okay, that was fast. Yeah. So this is the new bar I was talking about. Lumion Live Sync. Just dock it somewhere. And then theoretically, if you just hit the play button over there, it will start to live sync. Yes. You see it's loading. And then Lumion will stop for a moment and then it will Yeah. So because I imported that already, that the previous, that's the older one. Let's just delete that. To delete. Now, if I make any change, you can see side by side that it's live synced. If I need to move that for reason, that changes. Yeah, anything essentially. Pretty seamless. Yeah. So that's how. That would be. Yeah. Really don't. Move it on. Hold the hole. Don't worry. We got a it's almost time, so we're not meeting that in Belgium today. Basically, we're meeting here at 8 to learn about some like analysis tools that are for us. Then I'm also reviewing your progress, especially your plan, whatever you have done, sketch, or other media, your master plan. That's what I'm going to issue